The bright morning sun reflected off the glass towers of downtown as hundreds of people gathered outside the city's annual luxury automobile showcase. Cameras flashed, reporters rushed from one interview to another, and the world's most expensive sports cars lined the entrance like priceless works of art. Then, almost everyone turned toward an old flatbed truck carrying what looked like the rustiest, most broken-down car anyone had ever seen. Its faded paint had nearly disappeared beneath years of rust, its tires looked barely alive, and its cracked leather seats seemed ready to crumble. Standing beside it was a quiet single father named Gavin Mercer, holding the small hand of his 8-year-old daughter, Nora, whose stuffed horse was tucked tightly beneath her arm. No one knew that within the next hour, this forgotten car would change countless lives forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to Heartline Stories. Your support helps us bring more inspiring true-to-life stories every week. Gavin had never expected to be standing among millionaires. After losing his wife, Elena, to a sudden illness 4 years earlier, life had become a daily struggle. Every paycheck disappeared into rent, groceries, and school expenses. He worked double shifts repairing heating systems across the city while raising Nora alone. The little rusted roadster sitting behind him wasn't beautiful, and it certainly wasn't valuable to anyone who judged with their eyes. Gavin had purchased it for just $120 from a forgotten storage auction because he needed inexpensive scrap metal for repairs around his garage. Instead, the car became something else entirely. Every Sunday afternoon, he and Nora would sit inside its dusty cabin, imagining road trips Elena had always dreamed about. To them, the old vehicle wasn't junk. It was a place where memories stayed alive. Among the guests that morning was Vivian Sterling, the celebrated CEO of Sterling Automotive International. Known for building some of the world's fastest luxury vehicles, Vivian was admired for her brilliance but feared for her sharp tongue. She believed success belonged only to those who displayed perfection. When she noticed Gavin's rusty roadster parked near the entrance, she frowned. Reporters quickly surrounded her, eager for another memorable quote. Looking directly toward the battered car, she laughed loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear. She remarked that some people simply couldn't recognize garbage when they saw it, calling the vehicle nothing but worthless junk that should have gone to the scrapyard decades ago. The crowd chuckled, cameras zoomed in, and several social media influencers eagerly uploaded the embarrassing moment online. Gavin lowered his eyes, refusing to answer. Nora squeezed his hand tighter. She had heard every word, and the hurt on her face pierced him deeper than any insult directed toward himself. Instead of arguing, Gavin quietly began preparing to leave. He had promised Nora ice cream after the event anyway, and perhaps coming here had been a mistake. Just as the tow truck driver started the engine, an elderly man hurried through the crowd, waving both hands frantically. His name was Professor Alden Whitmore, a retired automotive historian whose research had filled museums across the country. The moment he saw the rusty roadster, his face turned completely pale. He asked Gavin to stop immediately. Ignoring the confused crowd, he slowly walked around the vehicle, brushing dirt away from its worn body panels. Then he noticed something hidden beneath decades of grime, a tiny hand-stamped serial number unlike anything he had seen in nearly 40 years. Silence spread across the plaza. The professor explained that during the late 1960s, an experimental prototype had been secretly built by a legendary engineer who disappeared before unveiling his revolutionary design. Only one prototype was ever completed, and historians believed it had been destroyed in a warehouse fire. Yet the unique frame construction, handmade aluminum body, and engraved chassis number proved beyond doubt that Gavin's forgotten purchase was that missing prototype. Reporters stopped talking. Phones stopped recording. Even Vivian's confident smile slowly vanished. The professor continued explaining that the vehicle wasn't valuable because of its appearance. Hidden beneath the rust was engineering decades ahead of its time. Many safety systems used in today's modern sports cars had first been imagined inside this very prototype. Its historical significance was almost impossible to calculate. Museums had searched for it for generations. Within minutes, collectors from around the world began making phone calls. Auction specialists estimated that after restoration, the forgotten automobile could become one of the most valuable historic cars ever discovered. Offers climbed from thousands to hundreds of thousands, then into the millions before lunchtime. But Gavin wasn't celebrating. While everyone admired the car's financial value, he only looked toward Nora, remembering the afternoons they had spent sitting inside pretending Elena was still beside them. Money had never been the reason he kept it. Vivian watched everything unfold in stunned silence. For perhaps the first time in her career, she realized how quickly appearances had deceived her. She approached Gavin with genuine humility, no cameras requested, no reporters invited. She admitted she had judged both the man and his car without knowing a single part of their story. She apologized not because the car turned out to be valuable, but because she had forgotten that every person carried unseen struggles. Gavin accepted the apology with quiet grace. Several weeks later, Vivian made an extraordinary proposal. Rather than purchasing the prototype for her company, she offered to fully restore it at Sterling Automotive's expense while allowing Gavin to remain its owner forever. She also established a scholarship in Elena's memory for single parents studying automotive engineering, inspired by Gavin's resilience and refusal to answer cruelty with bitterness. The restoration lasted nearly a year. When the finished car rolled into daylight once again, it gleamed like a piece of living history. Yet Gavin's favorite moment wasn't seeing the polished chrome or flawless paint. It was watching Nora climb into the passenger seat exactly as she had every Sunday afternoon. This time, instead of imagining a journey, they finally took one. They drove through quiet country roads beneath warm blue skies, stopping beside a peaceful lake where Elena had always wanted to visit. Gavin placed fresh flowers on the shore while Nora smiled through happy tears. They both knew the car had never truly been about money. It had carried something far more precious than hidden engineering. It had carried hope through years of heartbreak. Months later, the restored prototype toured museums nationwide, inspiring thousands of visitors. Every exhibit included a simple plaque telling the story of a father who refused to give up, a little girl who never stopped believing, and the reminder that true worth often hides beneath the surface where few people choose to look. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with friends and family, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Heartline Stories. Your encouragement allows these meaningful stories of hope and compassion to reach even more people around the world. Speech balloon special request: comment below with one word that describes this story: hope, kindness, faith, or miracle. We'd love to read every single response. As the sun slowly disappeared beyond the horizon, Gavin realized that life's greatest treasures rarely arrived polished and perfect. Sometimes they appeared covered in rust, hidden beneath years of pain, waiting for someone patient enough to see their true value. And in that quiet evening light, with Nora laughing beside him and Elena's memory forever riding in their hearts, the old $120 car became proof that kindness, perseverance, and love are worth more than anything money could ever buy.